Negan.
I am Negan.
What's up, people? Welcome to another episode of I Am Negan, a TWD Universe podcast. My name is Adam Vale. I'm an editor over at the Koalition.com, and tonight I'm joined by Carlos Romero from Throwdown. What's up, man?
Yo, what's going on?
All right, so no Richard Bailey Jr. action. He's out on location doing something, saving lives. That's what that man does. He's busy, right? But he'll be back for the next one because for people that know, there's another Walking Dead show that's starting up the same time, the same night that this episode airs, which is for October 3rd. We also have World Beyond Season 2. So we'll have that one up probably around the same time that you see this one go live. So this is for Season 11, Episode 7, Promises Broken. And I really like this episode. I think this was the best so far. There's a lot going on in this episode. It felt longer than it was. I was like, man, is this like over 2 hours? Like this, there was just so much dialogue. You know, heavy on all story arcs. It was very heavy with the stories. What did you think about that, Carl?
Yeah, I mean it's just every storyline was going and everything. Every storyline kind of just progressed. We got a catalyst of something where it's like, oh, I think we know where the things are going now. So yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was one of the best ones, like you said, and can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, it definitely didn't feel like filler. And that's one thing. There was a lot of people that have complained over the years, which makes sense. I mean, there's a lot of episodes in these seasons. There's bound to be some filler. But so far, we haven't really seen that. We had that little situation with Carol and the horse and all that other weird stuff. But besides that, every story arc has been leading to something. They're toward an end game. We're just progressing their stories, which is great, and I love it. So let's just get into it real quick. Just thanks to everybody for the follows on Spotify and iTunes. The numbers keep going up, and I'm sure it has to do with everyone just getting more interested in Walking Dead. I know personally some people that did not know this was the last season because they fell off a while back. And when I told them, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to start watching it. I'm going to set that on my DVR. All right, this is the last one for sure. There's no BS. I'm like, this is, there's going to be others. But for the mothership, the main one, yes, this is the last season. So
Last Dance.
Yeah, The Last Dance. So, yep, big shout out to everybody. Thank you also when you were on YouTube and all that. And thanks again, everyone. So let's just jump into this. So just in our traditional format, as you guys know, and some people seem to like it because it's just a lot easier to track because it's so much back and forth. We follow each story arc from beginning to end. So we're going to first start off with Ezekiel and Princess and that crew over at the Commonwealth. There was a lot going on there. Then from there, we're going to move to Maggie and Negan and Father Gabriel, that whole section. And then in the closing, we're going to do Pope, Leah, Daryl. Oh, boy. Sorry. I've been drinking water. Okay, so here
What are you drinking?
Yeah, that's all I'm drinking. That's all I'm drinking now. All right. So when this episode starts off, we see our crew with, minus Yumiko. We see Eugene and Princess, Stephanie, and Ezekiel, and they are fighting walkers. But as they hinted even before, they had to do something. Hornsby came up with some plan of getting them out, and this is his thing. It's like, well, I'm going to have you work for it. Working in regards to there's abandoned buildings around the Commonwealth that they plan to occupy, but they need someone to clean it up, meaning discard and start killing out all these walkers. Yeah, they could have the Commonwealth police force that's there, or their army as they're also called. But why? Just got these labor guys, just have them do it. Which sort of doesn't make much sense, because then if they die or they get bit, then what? It's like, oh, well, we sent them to their death. Was it that serious? I don't know. But anyway, as they're in one of the buildings and they're doing their cleaning job. We got Ezekiel now showing signs of this cancer progression, because that sort of stopped for a while, right? They gave him some treatment. He said he was okay. But, things aren't so great for him, and Princess notices that. And she was like, you're not looking good. Something's wrong. And then she just starts calling it out like we all figured. It's like, we're in a place that has a hospital, all kinds of stuff. You can get the care you need here as opposed to wherever the hell you were before. And they asked Stephanie if she can help out. And she's like, oh, yeah, I'll find out. I could do that. And it's so funny with Stephanie with this whole thing because she seems very nonchalant. Like, she's very cool with the fact that she's just been sent off to kill walkers for who knows how long, right? Like, she's not upset at all. Now, we could just say, well, she's happy. She's with Eugene. It's one of those things, that level of love where you just don't care. As long as you're together, you always hear that stuff. I don't care if we're poor, as long as we're together. Well, maybe they're on that level of their relationship because she doesn't seem to be bothered by any of this. In fact, there was one part where she was talking with Eugene about doing the whole thing. She's like, oh, wow, I haven't really done this, in a while. Usually it's just the military that deals with all this, the soldiers, but we don't really have to do it. So it is what it is. But we see that she goes running off. But then in the background, right, this is where we're introduced to Sebastian. And we see him running off with a girl, and Eugene, and he made some comment about, like avoiding the stench and the whole thing. And Eugene was like, what the hell? Who's that? So before I go any further, what did you think of just how this is their new job and they don't have a time frame on how long they have to do this job? And then to see what's going on the other side with the Sebastian running around with a girl.
Just like anything, it's, we don't know how much time has progressed or, with all that stuff. It's like it could be like in a couple of hours after they caught him or a couple of weeks. But I just find it funny that they've been clearing out walkers and stuff. I'm like, oh, it's not really like imprisonment. This is really like what they do. They've been doing for the whole series, so they're used to this. So yeah, it was just pretty funny to see them, clearing out walkers. I'm like, yeah, you've been doing it the whole time, so I'm pretty sure you're used to the grit and grind of daily life.
Yeah, and it sucks. It sucks, but it is what it is for them, at least for now. And it's a better situation as opposed to what they were just going to. Well, no, actually, no, it's not a better situation because they were supposed to go to court. And if they could have had their attorney with them, which we'll jump in next, maybe they could have got out of it. Because it's on one hand, it's like, oh wait, they show up, they inform them that we are here because we worked out something to meet up with Stephanie. This is arranged, we were planned. There was a planned meeting, but yet they're sort of captives now. It's like, oh no, you're here now. You stay. You can't leave. It's like, well, that wasn't the plan. You can't visit people. What if you just came to visit somebody in Commonwealth? Oh, my cousin's over there. I have my own crew. I don't really want to live here, but I do want to visit. No, you can't do that. You got to just stay. And that's what it feels like right now. So the next part we jump into and we see where Yumiko is, and she just finished having a big meeting, which we don't see off camera, but apparently she met with the cabinet, the Governor Milton's cabinet, and everybody seemed to be cool with her. Right, so they're bringing her in. So it's a really nice room. She sits down. There's a guy across. I don't think he even gives his name. We discussed that off camera. We don't know. But anyway, the point is that...
Yeah, we don't know yet.
Yeah, but he was like, oh, yeah, so, this has been great for you right now. Looks like everything's going to work out. You can enjoy it here. And she was like, well, this is not permanent for me. I have no plans of staying here. That's I'm just here. And then this is where she explains her mindset. Because at first, if you're just watching, it was like, well, why are you going through all these steps if you have no plans of staying? But she makes it clear, and it was really quick, where she says, I'm just here to pay off the debt for whatever assistance you guys can give for my people. So in her mind, she's like, all right, you need legal counsel, you need all this stuff. Okay, I can do that. Now tell me how long you need that. And in exchange, give supplies or whatever that you can spare, and then to my people, and we leave. That's it. It's like, I'm here to do your notaries and all that stuff, and I'll write some wills, and then I'm out. But he was like, no, wait till you talk to the governor. You're going to want to really stay here and the whole thing. And she's like, no, it's not going to happen. And then she starts asking about her friends. And they're like, oh, your friends, they broke the law. So they're out doing labor work. And she's like, wait, what kind of work? Well, they're cleaning. They're doing the cleansing of locations. What's that? I mean, it's a back and forth, but she basically finds out that they're killing walkers. They're out there doing it. And she's like, how long? It's like, I don't know. No one knows how long. It's just until they decide that they don't need to do it anymore. And she got pissed. She got pissed and was like, no, I want a meeting with the governor now. And I was like, oh, no, it's too soon. Hornsby said it's not supposed to happen. And now for a while. And she was like, oh, is he your boss? It's like, no, not my boss. Like, what the hell then? I'm just doing it. Set it up.
I do have a question. Is Milton considered a governor or
Governor?
president? I forgot.
She's the governor. And the way they describe her and the family is that this is their version. This is the universe version of the Kennedys. Like, everybody knows who they are. And they sort of hinted at another, it was like a few episodes back when they were talking about the Commonwealth, and they heard the name. And you could see their eyebrows raised, like, oh, right. All right, so now we get it, how this whole came about. All right. So that... And,
so I do have another question.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen her, right?
Mm-mm. We have not. We have not. They hinted at this one later on, but no, we have not.
Just making sure, because I'm like, because I've heard her name a couple of times now, and I'm like, have we seen her? Because I'm trying to imagine what she looks like, and just to put a face into a name. But
no.
So we haven't seen her. Okay.
We haven't seen her. I mean, if people want an idea, you could look up in the comics, or you just go right now, look up Pamela Milton. Walking Dead comic, and you'll see her. She has short hair and blonde hair and the whole thing. But that may not be the character, the description of the character that appears on camera for the show. So, whatever. But no, we have not seen her. So, the next part with their story, we see that she's with her brother. We got Yumiko with her brother, and she's at his living quarters, which he says is a dorm. Now, that's the other thing. Not too sure about with the Commonwealth. And I remember that in the comic they sort of mentioned it, but they didn't mention it on the show of what they took over, because in the comic they had a football stadium and all this stuff, and it looked like it was on a university property type of deal. And I don't remember them mentioning that here, but when her brother says, oh yeah, this is the dorm, and he's like, wow, you live in a dorm, that type of thing. So maybe they're still going down that story arc with their living situations. But she brings up again, she was like, hey, it looks like the higher-ups, depending on your job, have it pretty good here. So why don't you just become a doctor again? And he flips out. He's like, no. Don't even bring that up. Don't even say anything, because I don't want them to know. And she's like, why? Your dad wasn't around? So I guess dad was a hard ass with them regarding, education and all that. And he's like, no, it's nothing to do with that. It has to do with stress. It was a constant 24/7 stress. Always having to be there, always have to deal with all the pressures of being a doctor, a surgeon. And he just didn't want that. And this was a chance for him to have a new beginning. And he enjoys baking. So that's his whole thing right there. And I get it. I could see that. It's a very stressful job. We see a lot of jobs. Like, let's say you get a high stressful job, but then it's high pay, and then you start buying a big house, get cars or whatever, and then eventually these things begin to own you, because now you have to live a certain lifestyle. So even if you wanted to change careers, you really can't. And if a lot of people were dependent on you, and it sounds like a lot of people were dependent on him, it's just too much pressure. It was just too much, and this was his chance to just break away from all that. Wasn't needed. So
it's pretty interesting, because she keeps asking him about the job. I'm like, well, you're a doctor, even in public places, you're a doctor. I'm like, all right, are you? That's enough. It's your brother. You at least give him some leeway. He made it clear
here the first time they got together, when they met up right outside of his little bakery shop. He said it. Don't say it. Don't tell nobody. Let's just let it be, okay? Right. But she keeps pushing on, keep putting that button, pushing. She even did it. She's like, come on, wake up. You loved it. And I was waiting for him to smack, like, leave me alone, woman. Like, snap. But
he was adamant that he didn't want to do it, and it's a sketchy place. She should get a clue. It's like, I don't want to talk about this.
Yeah, he said, don't talk about it, don't want to do this. And he's like, no, well, we could talk to the governor. He's like, no, certain type of people get to talk. I would never meet with the governor and all that. And then, on cue, we got the guards. They come over, the Commonwealth guys, and they take him away. She's like, where are you taking him? And he's like, don't worry about it, don't worry. And then he just escort him off. Now, I knew instantly, right there, when that happened, this is my thing. When she was going through her interview process before, not with the off camera, the on camera, the pre-screening, she said, I have a brother that's here, and he's a surgeon. Remember? She gave all that information. So I'm thinking, this is my theory, my mind, that when they reviewed all that information, and probably when she did do the cabinet meeting, maybe she said, oh, yeah, my brother, he's a baker. That did not match with what she said during the interview process, the pre-screening, which said that he was a surgeon. And so maybe they're bringing him in for further questioning. Or maybe again, we don't know how much time has passed. Maybe there's some way that they can, I don't know if the internet is still up. There was some way that they can look his information up and say, oh, wow, he really was a surgeon out in Boston, I think is where he said, or Chicago. So what do you think? Because that's what I'm thinking. That she ruined it already.
I don't remember. I can't really speak on that because I don't remember Yumiko ever saying he was a surgeon. I just remember she said that his brother was there. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a fact. The assumption that came to my mind when he got arrested, it's like, oh, the guy's just he's doing a leverage play. It looks like what's his name? What's the name of the guy in the video in the
Hornsby
intro video? Hornsby. It feels like Hornsby is just, I think he wants power. I think that's what I think he wants. He wants power, and I think he's sort of like the natural, opposite of what Milton is going to be whenever we see her. Mm-hmm. So I think he's going to be vying for power against her, and I'm just thinking that he does kind of scummy things to try to, get people on his side or try to, manipulate things. That's just how I saw it. But as far as if what you're saying is true,
yeah, because that was the key part. Remember, because that was the key part that differs from the comic on this. Because she was like, "Oh, he's a surgeon," and I was like, "In the comic, it was Michonne, and it was her daughter, and this whole thing." But I was like, and I just remembered the surgeon part because it's like, "Oh, well, she's a lawyer, and her brother's a surgeon, so this is what's going on here," and that's why she thought that clearly he had some kind of pull because of his job title, right? And then that's why she dropped the name and all that, but whatever. But anyway, the next part actually goes to what you were just talking about with Hornsby, because she finds him and she starts flipping out. She's like, where's my brother? What's going on? And he said, don't worry about it. I said everything's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. It's like, no, it's not going to be fine. I want to know what's going on here and where are my friends. And he tries to calm everything down. Says, listen, give it a few hours and I'll straighten this out. Because you want me to do a lot of things right now. You want me to help you with your brother's situation. You want me to help you with your friends. You want to get your friends back. Whole big thing. It's like, it's going to take me some time. And then she's like, so what do you want in return? And he says, well, you're a person of, I would say prestige, right? It was something similar to that. And it's like, or a person of power soon. And he's going to need some favors. So just remember that. This is what he wants. He needs some favors. Now, the question is, what kind of favors does he need? Because it looks like he has free roam of the place. He can do whatever he seems to want. He has control over Mercer and all of them, because as we find out later on, he's directing them to do certain things. Some on camera and some off camera. And he's always walking around with soldiers. So he's protected.
Yeah, well, I think the part where he was walking around soldiers because it was like one of those places that had a lot of walkers, and the other time it was because of Sebastian, because he was there. Oh, and I guess the soldiers that were protecting him were lagging behind somewhere, and they were just late.
Mm-hmm. All right. Speaking of that, right? So we got Princess and Steph and Eugene, and they're still doing their thing. They're clearing these walkers in this area. And then Ezekiel comes hopping over, all happy. He was like, oh, it's great. They gave me meds. They gave me antibiotics, painkillers, and a bunch of lollipops here. And he was just giving them out, and he's had a bunch in his hand. He was happy. He was like, this is great. I had an IV. I feel good as new. And then shortly after that, who do we see behind him? We got your Hornsby. He's there. So everything was working out. So you start putting everything together, that he's setting a lot of things in motion. And this is another part of it, because now that's another one that Yumiko is going to owe him. Because like, look, I helped your friend. He was sick and I got him treatment. But then Ezekiel, he's grateful for all of this. So when Hornsby was like, all right, so you guys ready for another assignment? He was like, yes, I'm ready. He's thrilled, and why not? He's got treatment. He's
got
great.
the meds.
He's got the meds. He's feeling good. They probably make him feel great compared to how he's feeling prior to that. So then he was like, all right. So I have a plan here. I got to get some other projects going on. So we're going to split you guys up. Right, so Steph and Eugene, you go over to that northern wall or some other area that she was familiar with. She was like, yeah, I know where that is. Again, she's all cool with all of this. She never seems upset. So it's like, yeah, okay, I know. And it's like, all right, and then
she's way too fucking calm.
Too calm.
I'm suspicious.
I started getting suspicious too. I was like, something's not right. Maybe she's a plant. That she's there. Because she's not even upset at all that she's doing any of this stuff. She was like, yeah, I haven't done this in a while, but she's not pissed off doing it. And says, all right, you and Ezekiel and Princess, you'll go to the other area. We don't ever see where they go, but we do see... What?
I do have a prediction before we go in, and I want to get Richard Bailey Jr.'s opinions on this.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Yumiko's brother, is going to be used to treat Ezekiel's cancer. I just, I'm just putting 2 and 2 together. I just feel like, because they're making such a big deal out of Yumiko's brother being a doctor. Mm-hmm. And why aren't you a doctor? Then why are you a baker? And you're getting arrested. DWIs. It's right. Like, why is this so relevant now? And it's like, it's because they want to use it for something else. And I think that the first thing that's going to be like Ezekiel's going to come clean eventually, because you can get all the meds you want, but if you're not treating this, like how you're supposed to treat it, you're just putting up a tape over a dam.
Yeah, I mean, they have a hospital that we know because they pointed out. Yes, we have a hospital. So I'm assuming they have other doctors. But yeah, maybe he's a specialist. But I don't know, because they could have just at that point, after taking the brother, and once Yumiko found Hornsby and said, "Hey, where's my brother?" He could have just said that. It's like, "Hey, we need him at the hospital. We know your dirty little secret," or something like that. But it didn't happen. So, yeah, all right. So that might be a thing. We might say go full circle and a connection there. So then next we have with Eugene and Stephanie, and they get to their location, and it looks like a gazebo, right? That's what those are called. And we see that there's all these walkers just closing in, and in between, right in there within the gazebo, we see Sebastian and a girl. And so Eugene, we've seen such a progression in this character. Because remember when he would run from these walkers, right? He did not want to fight. Yeah. He didn't want to do it. Oh, no. Now we got Mr. G.I. Joe over here. He runs over. He's stabbing them in the face. He's fighting them. He's doing the whole thing. He just ran out. He's like, I got to save them. That's my goal. Stephanie's over there with her spear, and she's jabbing. I mean, to the point that right when they're done, remember, they like high five each other. They're like, yeah, we're doing this. This is great. So they clear that area, and Sebastian, this is where we get the first. I mean, we got a little impression before with his little comment of the stench and look at these people. But now he's like, what are you doing? You're ruining everything. Who do you think you are? I have guards. I have soldiers to do things like this. Why do you? And he's like, you should be grateful. I just saved you. And he's not. He's just being a prick. Yeah, and that's his character. He's just doing it. But at the same time, his girlfriend, who's standing back a little to the left, there's a walker who's just creeping up, and Stephanie's trying to get Eugene's attention, but no, he's not having. He's just arguing with this guy. So she runs over. Stephanie does. Once that walker gets within like 2 feet of the girl and kills the walker, but when she pulls her spear out, all this guts starts squirting out, and it gets onto the girl's dress. Yeah. And that's when this Sebastian just gets real nasty, and he calls her a bitch. He was like, "Oh, you bitch." And again, a different side of Eugene. Eugene just decks him, punches him in the face. Sebastian drops. And that's when we see all these people running in from the far back. And it's all the soldiers. Mercer's there, and Hornsby, and they're like, what's going on here? And he's like, this guy, he did this. He came to attack me, and he hit me and did all this stuff. And he's like, no, that's not how this went down. And then Mercer was like, well, did you hit him? yeah, but I did all this other stuff. And this is the part, and I even wrote on my notes. I'm like, this line should have been removed. When Hornsby ran over and says, but don't you know who this person is? No.
Yeah.
How would Eugene know who anybody is unless he's encountered them before?
He just got there and he's in the dumps.
Yeah, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. He sees this young kid running off with a girl. He went to save them. He doesn't know that this is the governor's son. He doesn't know that. No one said anything. But now we see where the plan was to come into play. Because the plan was, all right, this is from Hornsby. If he can get those two over and clear that area, then they can look like heroes. Because you notice all the guards that Sebastian kept talking about, they weren't around. They came running over later with Hornsby, which tells me he has control over them. Like he said, hey, listen, we all stay back. Let's let these walkers close in on. We'll have these two because they know how to handle themselves. They're going to kill them all. And then that's it. And then we'll make them look good. And we can go and tell, Mrs. Milton. It's like, hey, look, these guys, they helped out. They let them be free. They saved your son. Come on now. They saved your son. That's what I think the plan was. What did you think of that? You thought that was a plan, or you think this was all a setup?
I mean, it seems like too convenient of a setup, I don't know. It could be. The thing that I'm just thinking of, it's like, obviously I don't read the comics, so I don't know. But what kind of a person is Milton to have all this power over everyone like this? Obviously, she's a governor, but I mean, governors, unless you're a governor of Woodbury, it's like you're not really that much of a threat. You're supposed to serve the people, but it seems like this one, it's more of like, someone that has a lot of control over and places a lot of fear over a lot of people. So. Enough so to have a spoiled little brat, being, taken care of the whole way by personal bodyguards and everything. So, that's the only thing that it makes me raise questions. I don't know about the whole, there being a plan and, Hornsby, setting everything up. I mean, it's possible, but I think it's too early to tell at this point.
Yeah, at least on that end. He's definitely putting all these things in motion. And I'll get to it because a little more info comes shortly after the next scene with Yumiko. She's now in the office waiting with the receptionist or the secretary for Milton. And I'm like, all right, what's going on? She opens up a book. She's looking at these houses. It's nice locations. And I think that's going to come up later because that first image that they show in the comic, that is the house of Miss Milton. The governor. Mm-hmm. She has that house. At least in the comic she does. So, and I'm assuming that's going to be present in the show just from what we saw in that book. But as the receptionist is just trying to do some small talk. Oh, you're part of the other group and the whole thing. The phone rings. She picks up the call. She's like, oh, okay, I get it. It's like, what's going on? It's like, you're not going to have the meeting. It's been canceled. So the governor's son has just been attacked. It's like, oh, okay. So then there you go. 2 and 2 together to answer the previous scene of Hornsby saying, don't you know who this is? Well, now we do. Now we know. It's the governor's son. Governor's son was attacked. There we go. And, go ahead.
I just would like to make a comment.
Oh, Richard Bailey Jr., what up, man? What's up? You up, man?
Hopefully I sound clear.
You do.
The governor's son is an asshole. I think
that is true.
I think Eugene is correct for his response. But I will say I understand what you were criticizing, Adam, about they asked the question, do you know who this is? And obviously Eugene didn't know, but I guess from the viewer standpoint, the viewer also got that answer immediately with that next scene.
Yeah. I was like, all right, now we get it. Now we get it. So we know. But it was such a dumb thing to ask. Because, no, clearly he doesn't know. But at the same time, in the background during that time, Stephanie was like trying to calm him down. No, don't argue with him. Don't fight. But she could have just said, it was like, that's the governor's son. That's what I hate when the obvious thing of, like, in reality, that's what we would say. You know what I mean? If me and you were there and I'm fine with somebody, it's like, yo, that's the boss's kid. Relax. Oh, okay, I get it. So I shouldn't punch him right now. Just spitting his Kool-Aid. I get it. All right. So then the next scene with this is now we see that Eugene is in a cell and Hornsby comes in, and then it's sort of what I was just thinking before. It's like he's like, "Hey, you could have been the hero. I set it up. All you had to do was clear out the walkers, and you would save the governor's son, and everybody would have praised you. But no, you had to go and hit him, And now this is it. This is what we are. So you have to give me something else. I need something else for you if I'm going to help." And it's like, all right, well, to get out of this, what do you need? So I need to know the location and the name of your town, your community. And he's like, "I'm not giving that information." And he's like, "All right, well, then you're going to stay here and rot, and your friends are going to keep cleaning out walkers for the end of their days." And then he knocks on the door. He's about to get out. And then Eugene was like, "Well, wait. Can you promise, like, their safety and this and that?" And he's like, "Hey, you see how good things are here? Why would we do anything any different?" And if you think about it, you're like, "Oh, that's shady." But then if you think about it, it's like, well, yeah, they're working on a class system, but they're not really torturing anybody. So it's more of like a Borg mentality from Star Trek of like, you will be simulated, like they just out to gather people. So if anything, they'll gather all these people and do the same screening process. "Oh, you were a teacher? Boom. Now you're going to teach you. Oh, you don't know what you did? You bagged groceries? All right, you're going to be with the other guys cleaning, killing walkers." And that's it. They're just trying to consume as many people as they can. And that's what he wants, and that's what I'm thinking is going to happen. So then that way he can then still, because he's still trying to get favors from Yumiko, right? That's his whole thing. He told her, "Give me a few hours." And I think these are all the things he was setting in motion. So that way he can get everybody cleared and say, "See, look, I kept my end of the bargain. So get ready with these favors that I'm going to need real soon." And so that's what I was gathering from that, because then let's say if it works out and he tells the governor, "Hey, I found out where the location is and all this other stuff. He's helping me. This guy's helping me. So let's let him out because he's a team player." It was a mix up. He didn't know who the guy was. And, your son gets pretty mouthy, because remember, even at that scene with back at the gazebo when he was like poking at Mercer, just banging him on his chest, talking down to him. I mean, he's a prick. He made it very known right there that he is the prick, and we are not to like this guy. So,
yeah, it's. I think it's part of even though I don't know to the extent of that setup with Sebastian, I think obviously he is setting something up. He is up to something, and I think the key is Yumiko. She provides something, and obviously it's probably her legal expertise. She has that, and that's something that they're sorely lacking in that community. And I think he wants to use her as a coy to get him to the top. That's the key. I think that's why he's acting nice with everyone, because they know how much everyone else means to Yumiko. So he's trying to, seem like a nice guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a few episodes back, remember when Eugene was asking Stephanie about when they were first locked up after they got busted at the radio? It's like, can we trust him? Does he help? I was like, well, he's a nice guy, but he doesn't do anything for free. He's gonna want something, and this is it. And if they didn't have Yumiko in the position that she's in, they probably would all just be clearing walkers for the end of their days. Hell, Ezekiel probably would have died out there without any treatment, because why bother? Why do any of that stuff? So yeah, he's definitely trying to improve his situation, and he thinks that by doing all this is going to help him. And I think most cases, that's how it works in the real world, right? So,
right.
All right. So that is pretty much it for that section. That was it. So we don't hear him actually say, "Here's the address, here's the location, it's calling." We don't hear any of that, but just from the look on his face, it's like he's gonna do it, if not just for him, but for his friends. He doesn't want them out there just clearing walkers for the rest of their days, because that's the other thing. We still don't know how long that they were going to be out there anyway. So it wasn't like, oh, they were only sentenced to do this work for like a week. No, we don't know. And even Yumiko, when she first asked, she found out no date. So there goes that. All right, so that part is done. Next up, we got is Maggie and Negan and Gabriel and our boy Snake Eyes, a.k.a. Elijah, without the mask. I don't remember when he lost that mask, but it's gone. I missed the mask. Do you remember that?
I mean, I didn't miss it, so
It was something
it's
cool about the mask, and he didn't speak at the time. But
yeah.
but then later on he started talking. But whatever. So he's there, and this one it gets right into it. We got Maggie and Negan, and they're just bickering back and forth about what's going on. Negan's ready to head back. He was like, "Oh, wait, this isn't working." They're like, "Oh, well, we still need the supplies. We need the food." And I'm wondering now, what happened to all the stuff you found at the house? Did you eat it all? Because remember, they found the supplies. That's when Negan grabbed the bag and was like, "Come on, let's go back." It was like, what, the last episode? It was like, "Come on, let's just leave." We go, but no. We got to wait for everybody else. And eventually, Gabriel and Elijah show up. So I'm like, where are those supplies? Because they're like, "Oh, no, we don't have it. We need to keep going. We have to get into that town." And so I don't know. That was weird how they just brushed that off. But she was like, "If you want to go, you can leave." It's like, "You need me." And they go back and forth. And then that's where we get toward the title, in a way, is when he says, "You know what? In front of the priest right here, I want a promise from you. I want you to promise that if I help you and we continue on this path, that you're not going to stab me in the back. And I don't have to look over my shoulder and worry that you're going to do something, because that's the way I feel right now." And she was like, "Oh, you really want a promise from me?" And he's like, "Yeah, I trust you. That's it. I'm a man of my word. I'm assuming you're a woman of your word." And he sticks his hand out, and she does it. She shakes his hand, and it's funny because they show it, and then in the background you see Father Gabriel, and it's like one of those like a witness to this, like a notary. It's like, "Okay, I see it. That's it.
I see everything going on.
I see it. You two are now friends." So right off the bat, what did you think of that whole thing of going on with between Negan and Maggie? Carlos.
I'll go ahead, Rich.
Oh yeah, Rich. That's right. Forgot Rich jumped back in.
I just want to say, obviously, I would not trust that. And Father Gabriel is not a priest anymore. This is a guy that shoots people, and then "Oh yeah," it says God is no longer here. So why would you think, "Oh, he's a reliable person that I"?
Well, he only said that to that Reaper. They didn't hear that. He's never said that to them. So that's the thing. It's if he said it to the group, then yeah, then but like, take the collar off, man. You're faking the funk. But no, he didn't do that. They don't know.
That's
I think it's just they're doing kind of a formality that doesn't really mean anything. Obviously, Maggie doesn't really have to hold herself accountable for that. I think it was just kind of theater in Negan's part, where it's like, yeah, let's let's do a pinky promise kind of thing, and it's like,
well, and I think that's why he wanted Gabriel, because I think if something was to happen, then he could, or if she was going to try to do something else, she would need someone's help, or maybe that somebody would jump in and it's like, "Hey, don't stab him tonight. Remember, you made that promise." That type of thing, because he said he's on.
I think it's just Negan being kind of witty. It's like let's do it in front of the priest. It's like he knows it doesn't mean shit, but I think it's just him just trying to make a situation kind of a little bit more lighthearted.
Yeah, because one of the key lines here, he says, "By doing this, we'll call this even." And she was like, "We can never call this even." And it's like, well, yeah, because of the whole thing. But they have a great conversation, which we'll get into later on in this part here. But so right after that, they start walking further. They're out in some wooded area, but I guess they're getting close to their old camp, because they find some walkers. She kills one, and she knows who that is, and Elijah knows who it is. And then some more start showing up, and it's like, "Oh, all these people?" What's it? Negan says something like, "Oh, Blackbeard over there?" It's like, cause that's the guy covered with the beard, and it's like, yeah, these are people from their camp. All right, so what they were doing is, it's like, and I watched it twice, and at no point did they mention the plant. It's just is the plant. They don't mention it, because when they cut back, we see that someone through the mask, and someone's walking and trying to slow walk, do the whole whisperer style, and then stumbles, and then takes the mask off, and then they grab Elijah goes and he grabs a walker back and stuff, and we see it's Maggie. So it's Negan teaching Maggie how to be a whisperer, how they did it, how they walked with the walkers. Because the plan now, and then they didn't say it, but the plan is, if they can wear the mask and they can do the whole thing of being like a whisperer, then they can herd up all these walkers, and then they can build their army. Because right before all this, he did mention that one part. He's like, we can't go into this fight with these guys. We don't have an army. But she never said, well, we're going to build one and we're going to do a whisper style. You know what I mean? None of that. So I'm just filling in the gaps because, again, with the mask, I didn't know. He was like, oh, I have my mask. I didn't know you carried it with you. Where are you carrying it with? Yeah, I mean, you don't even have a bag. Where is this? You know, but did you guys pick anything up at that point? Did you guys know that?
No. They didn't even mention anything about Daryl, really. It's like, oh, hey, well, Daryl is on the other side. I think they just went over the fact that they're gonna go forward, trying to get their home and the supplies and stuff. But there wasn't any plan like the whole whisper stuff.
Yeah, there was no plan. Also, yeah, with the Daryl, we gotta help him, and just Negan picked up on it. It's like, hey, I think he was giving us a hint with some of those things. Just we need to just leave. That they're just outgunning us. Right. We can't do it. And I was like, no, that's not what it was about. But at no point this plan was not hashed out. So we have to fill in the blanks. So it just looks like, all right, he's here to help and teach her the ways of the whisper. And that's it. And then he heads off and he gets in a little campfire and it looks like he's creating something. And we'll find out. I think he's the masks. Yeah, he's making a mask for, he has one, but he's making one for Maggie, Elijah, and Father Gabriel. So while they're doing all this, Father Gabriel, he's not around. He went scouting. So this is the fun part, because when he goes out scouting, again, we don't know how far he was, and these people are making a lot of commotion, but he's not too far off, and he looks through his scope and he sees. I'm assuming that was a Reaper. Right? Because he's walking around with a machete and a trench and the whole thing. But he's like praying. He's just openly praying and walking. And then he gets to like that pond, lake area, looks up and is praying to God and talking to God. And Father Gabriel sees this and doesn't say anything and just stares at him. He could have taken him out right there. But he doesn't.
God responded and he's like, Gabriel was in the bushes and he's like, there is no God.
Right? So it's like, the only God here is the one in my gun. It's called the bullet. The bullet God. It puts you down. This would have been perfect for him to stick with that there is no God moment. If he would have just like put a bullet in him from there and be like, God answered your prayers. He sent you home. But no, that didn't happen, and he just walks off. So, Rich, what did you think of that scene? Did you think they were going to become friends? Because for a moment there, I thought that when he started hearing him pray and the whole thing, and think for the Reaper's perspective. You're praying, and then a guy comes out of the bushes, and he's wearing a collar, a priesthood. Like, oh my, I would get on my knees, right? Just get on my knees, like, oh, I have sinned. Oh, thank you, God. Do a cleansing. Let me tell you what I've been doing. Don't go back there. I killed a lot of people. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Father.
I'm here to confess.
Right, exactly. This is perfect timing. We don't need a confession booth. Let me close my eyes and tell you now. What did you think of that, Rich?
I have to admit that I was a little disappointed because the description for this episode said that Father Gabriel would meet a man of God, and I thought they were alluding to him having a confrontation with Pope. Now, maybe that could still happen later. Right. Yeah, maybe that could still happen later, because at some point they are going to have to come face to face with that group. But I don't know what the meaning of that. I guess we'll have to find out whenever these groups actually meet up. If something goes with that, and maybe Father Gabriel has to take out this guy, or something to that effect.
And that's a guy that we don't know anything about, because when early on before. And we'll get into it when the last segment with Pope and all of them. But Pope seems to know where all his team members are. Mm-hmm. And at no point did he say he had one that was lost. Like, well, we know one that's dead. And we know the other one that's injured, but this guy, he was just praying and walking around. So he seems to be okay, and we know he's not one of the scouts, because the 2 scouts that were sent out returned back safe when we get to that segment. So I don't know. It was very weird, but yeah. So then the next part of this, and this is where it gets fun. This is like the best part of this whole thing for me. It was with Negan and Maggie. So Maggie's doing a pretty good job. She's walking around the walkers. She's doing the whole thing, doing the herding, and it's working. And he says, "Hey, you're doing a good job. This is working out." He's encouraging her, as Negan. And shortly after, they sit down. He goes to sit down near the campfire, keep doing what he's doing. I'm assuming making masks. And she sits down across from him, and she starts talking about the past, and all this stuff. And
he was cooking food, by the way.
Oh, he was cooking food. So who was making these masks? Because I assumed that he was making masks. Because who else would know how to do that in that group?
Yeah, I don't know.
It was only him. And
I'm guessing it's Negan.
Yeah, just because he's also the only one teaching them the ways of the Whisperer, doing the Whisperer walk, forget the Crip walk and creep walk. It's like you've got the Whisperer, like, put the shoulder down, remember? And he's like, drag this foot, and you got to move a certain pace, and then, like, snug up to them and stuff. So it's kind of cool. But they're going in a little back and forth about the past. And he was like, yeah, I get it. You're doing a lot for your people. And it's just a reminder of how I failed my people. And she was like, what are you talking about? I was like, come on now. He was like, my people were normal people just like yours back at the satellite. And if you remember, a few seasons back when they first started feuding, what did they do? They went at night to the satellite location and they killed everybody that was sleeping. They killed all of his peoples. And he was like, what about them? They had families. They had friends back at the the main base. Come on now. It's like, well, that was different. This is Maggie speaking. It's like, no, it's not. And it's like, but I failed them. And I wish I could have done things different. And she was like, oh, you do? So I'm sure in her mind, and the viewers are like, oh, yeah, different because you're a changed person now. Because he said things have changed, time has passed. So you wouldn't have killed Glenn and the other dude, and Benjamin. And no, that's not that.
No. It's, what's his name?
Was it Ben?
No, it's not Ben. It's, oh my God. Band of Brothers.
Yeah, the Band of Brothers dude.
God damn it! This is killing me right now because it's a really common name too.
Abraham? That wasn't Abraham.
Abraham. No. Was it Abraham?
Well, while you look it up,
I'll look it up.
So he says, no. He said, I would have killed you all. And she was like, why would you say that to me? And he says, because look at all the torture. Look at everything. I lost my people that depended on me. I lost everything. They lost their lives. We lost that war. They died. So if I would have just been a real badass and just killed... It was Abraham, right? And kill everybody, we wouldn't be in this situation. Which is true. He'd probably still have his group, and everybody would still be Negan, and we'd still have Dwight and that whole crew over there. Yeah, but everything fell apart because he decided to leave some people alive. And let them just go. And it all made sense. I don't need to go through that whole story. We talked about it way back. But, yeah, whose point of view is the correct point? And you can side on both ends because it was a retaliation of a retaliation type of situation. And that's why he was like, well, I got to take somebody. I got to, you guys killed a bunch of my people, so now I got to take out somebody. He didn't know them from a hole in the wall. He just randomly picked. And so then here we are. But, yeah, that was good. What did you guys think of that? That whole saying, oh, yeah, I would have done things different. I just would have killed you all.
I mean, Maggie's reaction was like, she told him, like, how can you say that? And I'm like, whoa, what do you expect?
Exactly.
Hey,
yeah,
it's one of those situations where she just felt like they're always in the right. They're always the good guys. Like, what do you mean? We were all good people. And again, but it just points to earlier on in the episode. He just said, you just went into the satellite area and just killed them all. Remember, there was a crib there. There's that baby Gracie. They had kids. So, yeah, you want to say they're all evil. I get it. And I'm sure a lot of them were bad. But, on the other hand, there's probably some people that had nothing to do with anything and were just stationed out there. You know? It's like, all right, listen, go out there, patrol, do this. All right, just looking to see. They don't know all the other drama that's happening with Dwight and all that stuff going on. They don't know any of this. But now they die. They paid for it.
And now they're dead. Yeah, I mean it's all about perspective here. You know, it's one leader trying to defend his group, one leader trying to defend her group, and it's like, well, what are the lengths you're going to go to defend your people? And it's like, well, if in Negan's case, if you would have just killed everyone in that circle, that same semicircle, you would have still had his people. So he failed him. Technically,
he did. It's all gone. It's all gone. He went to prison in Alexandria for like 6 years. So yeah, it all fell apart. So the next part, we see Father Gabriel. He comes back, and they're like, "So how's everything? You see anything?" Nope. Everything is good. And that also disturbed me because I'm like, these are the dudes you were just fighting with before, and we get you didn't want to take them out, but you could at least mention, I saw one, I know where they are, and they're there. You know, no. He just like, so, at some point they're going to confront these guys. And what if that Reaper that he kept alive ends up killing Elijah or someone? That's going to be on him because, like, you could have took him out, or you could have at least warned everybody else. And we got this big dude walking around with a trench coat and a machete.
I think what they're going to do is they're going to wait for, and this is my guess, that they're going to wait for that guy to go pray in order to start everything off.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we know every Sunday he has to be here. So, we got intel. So, they got the locations and the coordinates and the time, and that's when they're going to set their plans to action.
We also get a little more info from Elijah, because he gets a little vocal here, and he just tells Maggie that his main goal right now is to find his sister, and that he also wants to kill the person in charge of all this, which I'm assuming is Pope. Right? He wants to take Pope down for everything that he's done. So it's like, all right, so this is it. And we see them later. They're in their mass, and they're doing the Whisperer walk among a bunch of the walkers. But man, when they start zooming out, you see that they have a big group. There's a large herd that they're with now, and they're about to walk past a barn, but then they run off, and then they see it's all boarded up. And usually when it's boarded up, it's one of two things. Either there's people safe inside, or that's where so another group already had herded up a bunch of these walkers and just boarded up. And it was the latter. They open it up, and a bunch of them come pouring out. Right, and that's when they do that nice overhead shot, and you just see, man, it looks like hundreds. Like they have a mob with them, massive. But this is also where we get to see something that's very touching and sad. And as they're doing the walk, and we see through Elijah, and he glances over to his left, and he sees a girl walking, one of the walkers. And we can't see his face. We can see his eyes, and he's trying to and we hear like crying. So we got to put two and two together. That's the sister. He saw her. He found her. Yeah. And here it is. And she's a walker, and she was in that barn. And he's just tore up, and I wasn't sure. At first I thought he was going to try to grab her. He didn't reach for her or anything, but Maggie grabs his hand and just like sort of guides him forward, like keeps holding him, like, no, we got to stay the course. Don't screw up now. Don't break out of the character now, because these things will eat us up. And so they're like, all right, and then they do another zoom out shot, and man, that group is massive. It's massive, but it also looks like they're close. They're close to the camp, because you can see like structure off in the distance, and they're on the main road. So,
it started off with the Reapers with their like 11-person squad, rolling up on the streets. Now it's the opposite with the walkers. So I'm curious. I'm just curious how the battle is gonna, like, how are they, they're using the walkers as a diversion so they can go in, or they're gonna go in with the walkers.
It's definitely gonna be the same way that it was done with Beta and the Hilltop. You're going to lead them in. They're going to start banging in because they're going to see people, the walkers. They're going to see humans. I'm like, oh, this is food, fresh meat. And they're going to start banging. And while they're doing that, the regular group, is going to try to find a way to get in. If not from a hole that the walkers made by tearing down a fence. And then try to hunt down whoever they need to hunt down. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where we're going with this. So let's get into it. This is it, the last part of this episode. So we see Pope, and he is flipping out because 2 of the scouts that he sent out to find Maggie and all them come back empty-handed. Oh, we didn't find anybody. No one's there. They're like, how did you not find anybody? There's got to be a trail or something. There's like nothing. There's nothing here. He starts flipping out, going nuts, whole big thing. And Leah's like, don't worry about it. I'll go. Daryl will go. We'll find somebody. We'll handle this. And then off they go. All right. So as they're walking, they're having a little heart-to-heart. Leah's talking about how this is her family and how good Pope is and everyone's there. And he's like, you don't need these people. You're fine on your own. At least from what I saw, you seem like you were okay. I mean, she just feels like she needs it. We don't know much. I wish we knew more of the connection with all this because that was not mentioned when they were in the cabin during last season. She didn't mention all of this stuff about, this group that I was part of. And I'm not too sure if that's even true, that she was even really part of this group. Maybe some of them, and they're just more of mercenaries that just connect on that level. Like when you go to these military meetings, and it's like they didn't all serve together, but they've all served in the military, or they were different platoons. And it's like, yeah, I was at that battle too. We weren't part of the same thing, same regiment, but we relate. We were all fighting the same fight. So maybe it's that situation, and she feels she has that connection. But as they're walking, they hear something in the brush. They pull up their weapons. They're like, come out. This dude comes out. And I was like, oh, shoot, I don't know him. Nobody knows him. And he says, hey, don't shoot it. Like, I'm just, here with my wife and my daughter, and my son, and my family. That's it. And now Leah's trying to figure out, how did you even get here? How did you bypass the security? He doesn't know what you're talking about, didn't he? Which I find interesting also, because then maybe the patrol guys are bullshitting. Because it
could be.
Right? Because this was the open road. Again, this wasn't like they were off the road just wandering in the woods. They were walking on the path and they saw this guy. Broad daylight also. So I don't get it, but this is where it gets interesting because they were like, all right, you have a group that you want to take us back to your camp. It's just as proof. He's like, yeah, okay, I'll take you back. And she gets on her little radio and she calls it in, tells Pope, hey, this is what's going on. All right, we came across a guy on the road. He says he has a camp. He's going to bring us up. What do you want me to do? And he says, kill them all. That's it. Kill them all. And that right there tells me that was done for the shock value, meaning the writing. Because if that was the case, why did you bother torturing Frost? You know what I mean? You need information. So if there's only one guy, yes, kill them all, but don't you want to find more information? So I would say, well, let's see what he has to offer and gather as much information as you can. And if you can, let's see if we can interrogate. But you maybe fight if you have to kill, but try to keep some people alive. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but I just think the way his approach before about trying to gather information and then now to just say, hey, we found somebody. It doesn't look like he's part of the group that we were looking for, but he has his own camp. And you can just say, kill them all? I don't know. That wasn't fitting. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole thing where, and I mean, it's obvious what they're trying to do. They're trying to get, Pope and Leah to be in, is it Leah?
Yeah, Leah.
Yeah. Pope and Leah to sort of kind of cause a rift. They've been doing that this whole time they've been here, or we've been here. So, it's all, she sees the humanity in these people. She knows, she can tell right away. I mean, she's ex-military. She knows how to survey things, and they probably have like certain guidelines to look at people that are, they don't know, and she can tell that they're good people, and they're just people trying to survive. They're not really trying to harm anyone. So she sees the humanity in the people.
Oh, wait. You're jumping ahead. We didn't get there yet.
Wait, what are you talking about then?
No.
I thought you were talking about Leah.
Yeah, Leah, but we didn't get into the house. Because once we get to the base, to that camp, and we see that the mom, she's been bitten. She's injured.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was just the fact that right there Pope is saying, hey, this is it. Just go and kill him. I don't care. Don't ask questions. Just go there and just clear him out. I don't know if Daryl heard that. Because I think
he didn't even need to hear it.
He didn't even need to hear it, right? So once they get over there, we see the guy wasn't BSing. Mom is hurt. The son is just there sitting with her, and he's like, "You see, this is my family," and this is where that moment that we saying the humanity. This is where she's pointing her gun and she sees him, and she's like, and if you remember, she had a son that she lost. Her son died during this whole thing. So she sees this and she starts getting emotional. See her hands shaking a little bit, and she tells the father, "Grab your son and leave, and don't come back. Just go." And the mom was like, yeah, listen, go. Just get out of here. And then they leave. And once they leave, this was also surprising where the mom just says, thank you. They were never going to leave me, and I didn't want to put them in danger. So I'm glad that you're here. So just end it. End it now. And that was hard because now she's pointing her gun. This is Leah looking like she's about to do it, and she can't. She can't do it. She puts her weapon down. And this is perfect timing for Daryl to get more brownie points. That he's one of them. Like, I could do it. He just puts up his crossbow. One shot. And he goes back and takes his arrow. Like, oh, that's it. It's done. Like right there, that's what you were talking about with that whole thing. And she said it. And he's like, so what are you going to tell Pope? And she's like, well, I'm just going to tell Pope you did it. You killed everybody. And then we'll just take it from there. And so then I think this was a good point for Daryl to see that the Leah that he fell in love with, if you want to call it that, or whatever their relationship was, is legit. She was a good person. And she still is. There is a good person inside there. Yes, he sees that she's rough and tumble on the whole thing and maybe brainwashed by Pope, but not to the full extent. Because here it is. She hesitated and she even stopped. She could have just killed all three of them, and then Daryl's like, what did you do that for? It's like, oh, well, I was told to kill them all, and that's it. Soldier, always obeying. But she didn't. She didn't do that. And I think that's why at that point, that's when he says, hey, I got to tell you something. Remember?
Yeah. And then, so I was wondering what he was going to say, because I'm pretty sure it was going to have to do with Pope and how, he's... how he and her are just contrasting philosophies. She's not really that, bad of a person or that cold of a person like Pope is to make just a decision to kill people that don't really put any harm to their group.
Yeah, it was either that or I figured he was going to say, listen, we need to break away from them. Let's just go. And I know some people. And then they head back to Alexandria because they can't go where Maggie is because they don't know where Maggie and Negan are. So I just like, hey, let's just get out of here. Let's just go somewhere else. Let's break away. And we saw the dog, but that's the thing I think about. He can't leave dog behind because right at the beginning of their segment, he was with dog smoking. Right? He was smoking a cigarette with another dude that he gave a cigarette to. But then when he leaves with Leah, he tells dog to stay. So he doesn't bring the dog. So even if that was the case, could he leave dog? If he told her at that point, hey, this is what's going on, let's just leave. Unless he was going to try to convert her and say, hey, listen, let's fight these guys. But I don't think she would fight these people. Maybe Pope, but she's not going to fight everybody else. Because remember, she was trying to take the blame for everything when it came to the scouts. And she was trying to say, no, it's me. I told them to go there. I told them to do this. That's why I'm going to go and fix this. So she's very protective of the rest of the group. So I don't see her going back to actually fight them. That doesn't seem like something she would do. So, but we're right toward the end because right when he says, hey, I need to tell you something, she gets a call coming in and it's somebody back at camp and it says, hey, we need you guys back here ASAP. Get back to camp. And I'm assuming it's because they can see that herd that's approaching. And they need all hands on deck to take them out. What about you, Rich?
Yep.
You got that too? Because I know I did. Carlos got that. Did you get that?
Yes, sir.
That was it, right? That's it. Right? That has to be it. There can't be any other reason. There can't be any other reason because That what else would there be to just stop the mission? Because he didn't even ask. The person didn't even ask. Has it been handled? Didn't ask for even an update of the situation. You know, they could have said, "Hey, did you handle that? Did you?" Nope. Just, hey, get your ass back here. So they see it, and this is it. So the question now that this episode is done, now is it. Here's our little discussion on this. Do you think next episode is going to continue with this story, or are they going to then do one of the other swerves and we're going to go back to deal with the Connie and Kelly and then the Commonwealth? Because I'm assuming this is going to... Oh my God. I'm sorry. I just forgot. Isn't next episode with the first break?
Yeah, it is.
Episode 8 is one of the first... we would usually call it a mid-season break, but there's 2 of these breaks. But the first break is next week.
That is correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did we get a preview of next week? I didn't see one.
I didn't see that either.
No.
Oh.
Yeah. No.
So something's gonna happen.
Yes. And this. Yes. All right. So I think that's so. Oh, man, they have to show the battle. They can't let that linger for who knows how long. Come on now. Don't give us a Carol and Connie and all that stuff and give us more Commonwealth back and forth jibber jabber. Because the big battle is this. This is the big battle. And if they're going to wipe them out or make any changes to that group, this is when you do it. All right? Because if you're going to have if Pope is going to survive this, it's going to... Where's he going to go? I don't know. How long is this going to last? I don't know. Because technically right now we have 2 villains. We have Pope, the Reapers, and then we have Milton, the governor, and her cabinet, who we've just heard and we haven't seen on camera, nor Milton. But when we do...
we got the biggest bad of them all is Sebastian.
Oh yeah, the prick. And if anybody wants to know,
asshole.
if anybody wants to know more about him, and you're into the whole, I want to know, does he play a big role? You can look him up in the comics and see why he is the most hated character in the Walking Dead universe. I was kind of upset because, all right, so, we have this agreement with AMC. We're playing nice. We're not trying to go ahead, and we're not spoiling a lot of things and trying to link things up. But so many other major outlets are just going full ham with spoilers on all kinds of stuff that they really shouldn't. And I sent you guys one of the links from one of these outlets. Remember?
So you decided to spoil us.
Well, you guys already know. But it's just, I think so. I hoped you do. But man, that really pissed me off because I'm like, why are you doing this? Because you plant that seed and that's it's just let people enjoy it. Oh. And I'm hoping that those who really want to be surprised and want to see some twists and turns avoid it. And that's why I'm not saying the website. I'm not saying the name of the article. I'm just pissed. That there's major outlets that are going that far for clicks. Don't do that. You're going to spoil it. And we don't want this spoiled. And I hope there's some surprise.
I've already had my shit spoiled.
You see? Well, maybe. But I think there are going to be some swerves. I'm assuming they're going to do some swerves. All right, people. We will see. So, thanks again for tuning in. This was for Season 11, Episode 7, Promises Broken. And we will be back for Episode 8. And we will, like I said, once this airs, if you look in your feed, you should see another episode, but for World Beyond, Season 2, Episode 1. And that will be with myself and Richard Bailey Jr. Right, Rich? We're doing this. This is it.
That's correct.
We are on the countdown. We bang these out so we never have to talk about these fools again.
That's correct, because Carlos said that he does not like this show and he has nothing positive to say about it.
There we go. Now, what we have
to recuse myself from this conversation.
But what we do have to get you in for the fear. I'm telling you, they got nukes. So that's a fun
I'll
one.
wait for the season finale or for the series finale of Fear.
I'm telling you. That's never going to end. I don't know when that's ever going to end.
Well, then I don't know when I want to start that.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, again, thanks, everybody. Thanks for checking us out on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. And it's been great. Keep spreading the word because Walking Dead is around and it's alive. No pun intended. All right. Peace.